It came from the internet.
All right, Brandy, what's going on? What's the deal? What's the story?
Well, an Oregon man described by JetBlue as a potentially intoxicated customer was arrested for criminal mischief and offensive littering after he made some news during a red-eye flight to Portland overnight. He urinated on several passengers, their seats, and their luggage.
Wow, he's got some range. That guy's got one full bladder, I'll tell you that much.
One of the passengers on board the plane, Susanna Caldwell, said that everybody was actually pretty calm. She said at one point the officers simply got on the plane and said, okay, who got peed on?
All right, who's the pee victim? Raise your hand. Anybody who didn't, let's make it easier. Anybody who didn't get peed on, raise your hand. Okay, thank you.
Authorities say 27-year-old Jeff Rubin was asleep for the most of the midnight flight from Anchorage to Portland, but stood up about 30 minutes prior to landing and, quote, began urinating through the cracks of the seat onto the passengers seated in front of him. At some point, because of turbulence in the air, he actually lost his balance, causing him to fall backwards, and he was still urinating, so it got upwards, which got on the passengers and the seats next to him, as well as some of the other passengers' personal belongings.
Wow. He's like a sprinkler system. This is crazy.
Yeah, and he basically woke up enough to pee, and then fell back asleep. It wasn't until the plane landed and cops, came to get him off the plane that they woke him up again.
Let me ask you a question. You've flown a lot in your life. You've been on a lot of planes.
Right.
You know how bad it is to have somebody on the plane that's incredibly annoying the entire time. Talks the whole time, loud the whole time, obnoxious, kicks your seat, just up being awful the whole time. Would you rather be around somebody who is terrible for the entire flight and just mean, rude, loud, obnoxious, kicks your seat, whatever it is, or a guy who's asleep, gets up, pees all over the place for like 30 seconds, then goes back to sleep for the rest of the flight? Which to you is a worse situation?
Do I have to go somewhere directly getting off the flight? If I can't have time to change my clothes, probably the guy peeing.
You'd rather get peed on than be around a seat kicker.
If I don't have time to change my clothes, I'd rather take the seat kicker because I can turn around and give him a dirty look.
Interesting. All right. You know what? I get it, though. Every time I go to take a nap, I wake up. I don't know if that's a scientific problem with me or if everybody has this. If I take a nap, I wake up and I have to pee desperately. Like I always really have to pee when I wake up from a nap.
It sounds like this guy basically sleepwalks.
Yeah, it sounds like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, you get 6 to 8 to maybe 12 mini airplane bottles of Jameson in you. You got to pee. But you also want to cling with everything you have to that airplane sleep. You know what I mean? It's hard to get a good sleep on an airplane. So when I wake up, I'm up. That's the type of thing. I wake up, you can't get me back to sleep. So if it means being able to quickly evacuate my drunken bladder and then still kind of get right back to sleep, I would absolutely pee all over somebody's grandma from Iowa. Sorry.